Most people think persuasion is about convincing other people into doing something they don't want to do. But what it's actually about is selling ideas, controlling the conversation, and defending yourself in times where you need to when you're under pressure. People who are regularly in the public spotlight are often highly persuasive naturally. And in today's video, we're going to be breaking down some highly influential figures and how they are using different persuasion tactics on you, on reporters, and also to sell ideas as well. Up first, we have Elon Musk's viral interview with Don Lemon, where Elon shuts down the most loaded of questions.
If you moderated yourself more, if there was better content moderation on the platform, that you wouldn't have to answer these questions from reporters about the great replacement theory as it relates
I
to
don't have to
Democrats,
answer these questions.
the great replacement theory as it relates to Jewish people. Do you think that?
I don't have to answer questions from reporters. Don, the only reason I'm doing this interview is because you're on the X platform and you asked for it. Otherwise, I would not do this interview.
So you don't think, do you think that you wouldn't get in trouble or you wouldn't be criticized for these things?
I'm
or that
criticized constantly. I could care less.
You don't care?
No, I don't.
Why not?
I don't think people should care what the media thinks about them. They're terrible judges of character.
This is a very effective way of psychologically dealing with difficult people or critics. Don Lemon is sat here desperately trying to get an emotional reaction out of Elon. He's insinuating all sorts of things. And sometimes in life, when people attempt to get some sort of emotional reaction out of us, we end up giving it to them because we want to give them a piece of our mind. We want to tell them that they're wrong. And we want to tell them not to be so rude and things like that. But the moment we do is the moment we lose all power. We come off looking really defensive or like we don't know what we're talking about. We get hot-headed and we start to stumble and stutter over our words here. Elon Musk is a highly persuasive figure. And rather than taking the bait here, he sat back, he made Don Lemon actually look stupid because he didn't react to it. He didn't take the bait. And when he didn't take the bait, Don Lemon's tactic suddenly became exposed, that Don was trying to just get an emotional reaction because as soon as he gets an emotional reaction, it's going to hit the headlines. There's going to be a million clips of look at this billionaire who doesn't know what he's talking about, who's very angry all the time. If you look at any ultra persuasive figure or a person who is great at commanding attention, they will generally have some sort of ability to be able to handle these high pressure situations quite well. So for instance, if they're on a podcast or they're in an interview or they're a CEO of a company doing some sort of public statement and there's some sort of media there as well, they will generally be able to handle these situations. And if they don't, they end up looking really, really, really bad. Persuasion isn't just about getting other people to do something. It's actually about defending yourself as well, making sure that others' malicious techniques don't work on you. Next up, we've got Alex Hormozi, who's talking about persuasion and how exactly he sells his ideas to people as well.
There was a guy in my fraternity, he had a terrible reputation with paying people. When I was treasurer, I had to collect money from my friends. The last treasurer told me, don't even try with this guy, he's never gonna give you any money. So the first day that I came into office, I texted that guy and I was like, hey, I just wanna let you know, I'm treasurer now. I think you're a super honorable guy and I know you're good for it. I'm not worried about you paying up, I just wanna let you know. He showed up the next day, the entirety of his dues in cash and paid me. And I think the thing is that like everybody treated him like a piece of shit, and so he acted like a piece of shit. And I had been reading books about persuasion and I read something called labeling, which is that you can give someone a positive attribute that they aspire to be like, especially if it's something that they haven't had a lot of and they want, they will try and act in accordance to that to continue to gain your approval around that label. Because they might want that for themselves, but no one's giving them a shot.
This is an amazing persuasion technique. But first of all, don't we all know somebody in our lives who basically just is kind of always stood at the back of the queue when it's their round, who never really takes responsibility, who always dodges the money paying thing? What Alex is talking about here, fascinating persuasion technique, something called labeling. It comes from the persuasion principle of commitment and consistency. And commitment and consistency essentially means that once a person has committed to some sort of identity, they have a tendency to be consistent with their behavior afterwards. So, for instance, in this case, Alex said to the person, your identity now is a person who is good for it, who is very honest. This person in their head made that commitment and were like, yeah, you know what? I am that type of guy. And then afterwards, they've been consistent with that behavior. This works in negotiations. It works in sales. It works in influence. It works in job interviews, relationships. The commitment and consistency principle even works for yourself when you are trying to be more productive. If you was to write down a goal and publicly say it to somebody about what you're trying to achieve and what type of person you would be to try and achieve that goal, that gets you to commit to it. And then you're more likely going to be consistent afterwards as well. Highly effective persuasion technique. That was a brilliant one from Alex Hormozi. Up next, we've got the master himself, Robert Greene, who wrote the 48 Laws of Power, Laws of Human Nature, Art of Seduction, all sorts of amazing books which take a look at history and break down the psychology of what's happening, the dark persuasion tactics of what's happening in history. I'm a huge fan of this author. Let's find out what he's got to say.
If you're trying to influence somebody, so you want them to do you a favor, instead of reminding them of what you've done for them, you remind them of what they've done for you. So you're fed their self-opinion. Their self-opinion is, I'm a great, generous, kind person. I did something good for you. Now I'm motivated to keep up that opinion you have of me and keep doing good things for you.
The top rated comment on this is, isn't this called manipulation? Let's find out what people say. If you call it that, depending on the circumstances and intent, circumstances. I mean, people that have fragile egos and weak characters should know how to see beyond things. It's their fault for letting someone else manipulate them. Not sure I agree too much with that. Depends how often the person has been previously manipulated. Depends how suggestible they are as well. Also depends how effective the manipulator is or the persuader, right? Here's what I would say about this. This is a fantastic example of what we just talked about, actually, funnily enough, which is commitment and consistency. So rather than actually reminding someone of all the things you've done for them to try and get them to do you a favor, you remind them of all the things they have done for you, all the previous commitments they have done for you, okay? So this works in, again, everything, sales, negotiation. If you were going to sell to somebody, the same principle applies because people have got to be consistent with their previous beliefs. So you could say in a sales process to someone, hey, you know what? If you can sense it's going a bit cold, or you can sense that they need a bit more encouragement, rather than reminding them that, hey, I jumped on the call to you. I took time out of my day to speak to you today. I've spent all this time speaking to you back and forth and you're not going to buy anything. What you say to them is, hey, you know what? You reached out to me after I sent that initial message and you wanted to book this call with me. Why exactly did you want to book that call with me? Well, because I blah, 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 blah. That is called commitment. You're getting some sort of commitment from them. And then when they say that, you say, well, why did you want to do that today? And why are you speaking to me right now? Well, I'm speaking to you right now because I have this problem, right? And that is getting that commitment and consistency in getting them to, in other words, sell themselves a little bit to you. Humans need reminding about why they're doing something. It depends how you use it, really. You know, if you're in a cult and you're saying, why are you here today? Is it because you're lonely? Blah, blah, blah. Reminding a person of everything like that, then that is unethical. But if you're trying to sell to someone and the pain that they have in their situation is not immediately available in their head, then it is completely up to you to remind them of that. I personally don't think that's unethical. Guess it depends how you use it. But a great video from Robert Greene, amazing content, and this is totally how human nature works. Next, we got Gary V on stage. Now, Gary V is the entrepreneur. He runs VaynerMedia. He does hundreds of millions a year. Let's see what he says to this person in the crowd.
I can flip for you on stage. Could you offer me an internship?
No.
No worries.
I'm about to teach you more about selling and marketing right this second than anything you'll learn in any school ever. When you give with expectation in return, you lose. Especially when you're asking for something as big time as an internship at Vayner that has become super competitive. Yeah. That's when you've got to do your homework of what the value is. It's awesome that you can do a flip and that would be cool on camera. Feels super selfish as another, I feel like you were gonna win twice. You were gonna do rad ass flip on stage and get an internship. That's not only giving with expectation, that's asking twice. That's why you get a big fat no. Pedro.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I love this clip here, but can we just speak about how well Gary Vaynerchuk actually speaks and communicates? Master level communicator, and he seems to have an answer for everything. I was looking through some previously reacted clips that I've done to Gary Vee, and each time he has like the most hot answer for the person who he's speaking to. I wish I could speak like that, honestly. You want to see some of the cutouts that my editor has to do when he goes through the video, and I'm stuttering all over the place, and it takes me 18 attempts to say a single sentence sometimes. Anyway, let's get to the point of this video. So, Gary Vaynerchuk is talking about something here which is very important, and it's important in business, it's important in life. It's called the law of reciprocity. And reciprocity is a persuasion principle. And what reciprocity means is if a person does you a favor, you feel compelled to do the favor back towards them. So if I was going to go to a pub with you and I bought you a round, I bought a beer for both of us, when I get to the bottom of my beer, you would feel compelled to then return the favor and buy the next round and get us both a beer, right? That's basically how it works. It's a bit more complicated than what's said on social media, but in general, that's how it works. Now, picture it that we're at a table, I go up, I buy a beer for both of us, and I sit us both down, I give you the beer, and I say, tapping my fingers, aren't you gonna buy me a beer back as you're drinking? When are you gonna buy me a beer back? Hey, I bought this beer so you could buy me this beer back. You'd start to feel a little bit weirded out. You'd feel like, is this person just buying me a beer to get into some sort of reciprocal weird relationship? So it is reciprocity, but the expectation actually ruins the feeling of needing to pay the favor back in the other person's eyes, right? So if you think about it, the other person is sat there thinking, well, I did kind of feel compelled to return the favor, but now I actually don't. So this guy stood up in the audience and said to Gary, if I can flip for you on stage, if I could sell something for you on stage, could you offer me an internship? So what he's saying, basically, he's got the principle of reciprocity, but he's got it kind of wrong. He's saying, is if I could get up on stage and flip for you whilst also getting all this attention from people. I know you're on social media, so I'm going to get a lot of social media for myself and, build up some attention for myself as well. And then I do that successfully. Could you then give me an internship? So he's taken that principle and he's really kind of butchered it. He's asked twice. Gary has called him straight out on it. And it's important to know that people often confuse going for the ask with shooting their shot. But you can also shoot your shot by just offering someone value and by giving something to them, knowing that at some point they will feel compelled to return this. Now, I just want to bring this up as well, because I feel like when Alex Hormozi came out on social media and started saying, hey, you know what, I am just giving all this free content away, all this free business advice away, because I know that the people who will, get the value in it would then become my client in the future. When he said that, I think it actually caused a cascade of people not understanding reciprocity. So now we see lots of people giving free courses away, giving entire coaching systems away. But the problem is with this, which Alex hasn't explained, because Alex has other things going on which has made him popular, bearing in mind. It's not just giving the free stuff away. But when Alex said this in the past, it caused this, a whole bunch of people to give away free courses, etc., etc. But the problem is that people also perceive free as not worth anything. So when you give away your entire course because you're trying to be ultra persuasive and enable the reciprocity principle and give away all this intense value on the channel or on a YouTube channel or whatever, people start to gloss over it. They think, you know what, I'll watch that later. It probably is valuable. But it doesn't grab their attention immediately because now that value has actually been destroyed. So in some of my videos, you'll notice that I go very heavy on some of the value stuff, but I also don't actually have anything to sell you. I sell consulting to 7, 8, and 9-figure companies generally, but the crowd that I've got on social media is more of an info product crowd. They come from SMMA and things like this. Just recently, people have been asking me for a course on this. I haven't got time, unfortunately, to do a course for them, so I have set up a Calendly link for you to book a call if you just want to do that, just to have a chat with me, solve some problems for yourself. But basically, I'm in a slightly different position to give away value there because I'm not expecting the favor of you to buy my course. I'm letting you have my free stuff because it is genuinely free, right? Do you see the slight difference there? Particularly since I've started reacting to some of the guru videos, the persuasion techniques and things have got way more popular. I've seen them popping up all over the place right now, but it's important, this is powerful stuff. And unless you actually look into the studies, actually look into how it affects certain companies, and I can talk about that in a video in the future, how you can actually optimize your landing page to get a bit more, how you can actually say certain sentences, then basically you could actually be shooting yourself in the foot, like this young man just did here by thinking he's doing reciprocity, but he was actually asking twice. So I love talking about persuasion. I love helping you guys as well. This channel has got more and more popular over the last year. I think we've found an area where people actually really like it. It's new knowledge as well. It's novel knowledge. It's genuinely helpful. So I thank you for all the DMs that you send me. I know some of you have sent me DMs which have said, hey, can you react to this person? I think there was some sort of e-com guy that one of you sent me a little while ago. One of you said, why don't you do a video on him? If you have suggestions like that, I do note them down and I will get to them eventually, but please just send them to me. You can send them to me on Instagram. You can send them to me on email. You can find it all in my about section on YouTube, because I do genuinely like looking at these clips and breaking down what the person is doing. It's educational for me. It's entertaining for me. This channel is all entertainment at the moment, but also I hope it's educational for you as well. Okay guys, well, take it easy. See you in the next video.